Warning! This video contains spoilers from events that took place within the first issue. If you haven't read it already, then do yourself a favor, pause this video and go read it right now. You have a few seconds to do so. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Alrav from Quebec, Canada, the author and creator of Algatras the Protector / Algatras le Protector. And for today's video, as part 1 of the making of Algatras number 1, I'll be covering the visual script that was used as reference for the first issue. Visual scripting is the process that I use before making any sort of finished artwork, and this applied for both the pages within the first album as well as the cover art. As you can see here, this was the first attempt for a cover, a sketch. It is way more exaggerated than the finished version, with the way Algatras poses and the expression on his face. And this is the rear cover that was used at the very end of the first issue. For those of you who don't know what a rear cover is, it is a staple of franco-belgian albums, and it is seen at the end of every albums themselves to provide a checklist for how many tomes there are to collect. The finished version, the figure of Algatras as seen here, is much smaller to leave room for the checklist, and from that point on the visual script covers the first issue. So this is the very first page. Moving on to the hostage scene. It is a little rough to look at since it is old and it is sketched with HB pencils. It looks relatively the same as with the first issue. Visual script do have the advantage of providing a look at how a page would flow before you actually make it, so if you need to make minor adjustment, it is very practical to do. So this was the page 2 and 3 and the big plane crash. And here's a look at the extended hostage scene. Initially, in my very first draft, this scene wasn't in there, but was eventually added later on, so I could showcase Algatras out of his costume. So that was something that was very important for me to do. So there are minor differences aside in the layouts themselves. Some panels are slightly different as well, some of the camera angles compared to the final product. Sometimes this sort of change happen because when you test them on regular A4 size paper, it looks fine, but when you draw on A3 size paper, you have to account for the reduction in page format once it is shrunk down to publication format. So it is one of those professional tricks that are used. So sometimes the basic ideas for the layout don't always translate well on the bigger format, so that's why there are modifications that do take place in times like these, which is why some of these scenes look different, but visual scripts are there for that. You can test out ideas and layouts in advance, and if it works well, it will translate easily. If there are adjustments to be made, you can make them very easily as well. So it's a great thing to do if you're an artist or a self-made author. So for the most part, the visual script that were used as reference for the first issue, they are relatively the same as with the finished product, but sometimes it is a good thing to be able to test out layouts and sketches in advance before you make any sort of finished pages. It is very recommended to do, especially if you're the author of your own comic book, like you're drawing your own thing. Visual script definitely have an advantage. At the same time, traditional written script can work to test out different writing scenarios, and of course writing is a lot faster than drawing, so I found myself doing both of them. So now so far we're at page 14. So at this stage it looks relatively close to the finished product. The layouts themselves are in place. Page 15, that's when Algatras get to suit up for the first time. And the next page after that is when I showed my first glimpse at the Zextron avatars, as well as the semi-main villain of the first issue, General Thunder Rage. It is a weird name, and the character design is very hilarious too. The two shots of D-Girl that made it into the first issue. So here we are at page 19, the first action of sort within the Speedbuster car that introduced the first issue. Page 20, again there are some previews of what the eventual finished product would look like, so that's why I made all of these. And there are some differences that are relatively minor. So that's the big splash page with General Thunder and Algatras confronting Un for the first time. It's a big confrontation, very dialogue heavy. That's what I use splash page for. Franco-Belgian albums, they rarely do have splash shots, so that's why I made sure to use them sparingly, only using them for dialogues and such. And that's when Algatras set up the kill for General Thunder. And that's when that was the page 24 where I ended the first issue at the halfway completion mark before cancelling it in late 2021. Last but not least, here is the alternate ending that was initially intended for the death. I would have done more to showcase the femme fatale cyborg prior to her full introduction, so this was supposed to be a parody of a sex scene of sort with Algatras, but I changed that in the final version because Algatras had slowly evolved as a character to be more of a vengeance character centered around Zextron. And so because of that, being a womanizer of sort just wasn't a part of the character all that much. He's more seduced by vengeance, so that's why I changed the last two pages. It also allowed me to do a more proper introduction for Yomoko-chan instead, as well as an isekai parody. So it was fun to write. On a final note, this was the disclaimer page that I tested out that included very early on the first issue, and one of the very last pages that's a sarcastic congratulation message. There is a history behind that. Stay tuned, it will be covered as part of the making of process very soon. And everything after that is classified for now. Suffice to say that today there's a physical edition of the first issue, whether by itself or as a compilation. There are some bonus material that will be reserved specifically for that edition, so stay tuned for that. One day I'll do a proper announcement when the timing is right. For now, you can enjoy the first issue for free on my Substack in both English and French. And that's it for today's folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the commentary section below. As always, look forward to Algatras the Protector / Algatras le Protector stuff on my Substack. The links are available in the description below or on my channel's page. And with that being said, thanks for watching and enjoy the reading.